Good evening and welcome to the opening round of the TTL Division 1 Championship. Tonight, our drivers will be racing on the Circuit of the Americans track. This 5.5 kilometre circuit has 20 turns of 2 DRS zones. We've got strong pairings in the Division 1 Championship, with the Red Bull, Mercedes and McLaren teams being tipped as favourites to win the Constructor Championship. But as we know, anything can happen. Tonight, I will be joined by Bidley, who will be a little bit late, but is planned to join me at the end of Q1. Who can set the early benchmark? We don't know, but we are about to find out, as we have got a driver left already. I'll just go back and very quickly, sorry ladies and gentlemen. Right, and I am back after getting my user invite back into the lobby. And it looks very dull around the Circuit of Americans currently. No drivers wanting to go out just yet, although it looks like a Ferrari is about to come out. Very excited to see what we can do here. As with in real life, the Ferrari does have the special livery in game. So when I can get an on board of the car, we'll show you. When the game wants to. There we go. And yeah, as I mentioned, the Ferrari is running a special livery of the yellow. Looking very nice. I do like the special livery on this. But our first two drivers out was AIM RX and Lives in the Aston Martin. Everyone hoping to get a fantastic start here. In the Division 1 Championship. But we'll wait and see what can happen. Liz will be our first driver that sets the marker. But there's plenty of drivers here that'll be wanting to get after the mark straight away. You've got Object Fungus, who majority of people know, a very quick driver who I think many are probably tipping ready to win the championship. But he'll be challenged by the likes of Drobel, who we've seen put some fantastic pace in. You've also got Brad Mason, if I can find him on the list. Yeah, Brad Mason, the Red Bull. He's also a quick driver, and he'll be up there for definite, along with Mag User, Henkers. So hopefully it won't be an easy run from Object Fungus, and he'll get a bit of challenge. But we'll wait and see. As I've got Livs now just coming around the final set corners, ready to do his first fastest lap of this season. And we'll ride on board of the Aston Martin. He gets his DRS wide open and shoots it straight up this straight with a bit of hell. You got to pick your braking point up really early, as you can overshoot the corner really easily. But picks up very nicely, kisses the curb as he goes through it. And it comes into this very tricky sector one, where it's very fast, left, right, and doing it very nicely currently. Ooh, that's a bit of a mistake there, and that's definitely going to cost him. And I imagine Liz will back out of this lap right now. That's the issue about the sector one, about the wrong COTA, is that it is a very fast sector. But unfortunately you can easily make a mistake which throws you off. So we'll jump back to AIM and the Ferrari. We come through sector one, beat Liv's time obviously. So we'll see what the Ferrari driver can do here. As he gets himself prepared going down DRS 2. A very tricky setup around here, I think. You've got to balance it for that very tricky sector one. Also, with this long back straight, you want a bit of speed to get you down it. As he's got his wings wide open, picks his braking point out, kisses the curb. That's fantastic from the Ferrari driver. As he sets a 104.6 through sector 2. Not purple sector, so Livs might be trying to continue off his lap here potentially. We'll wait and see. Once again, this can be very tricky for drivers, as it looks like we've had an instance in sector 1 from a Red Bull driver. At the moment, AIM has taken this fantastic, runs a bit wide and then validates his lap. That's the issue on COTA around here, as well as that you take that curve a little bit too much, you do invalidate it. As Livs does set his lap as a 1:38.8. Benchmark for drivers to try and aim for here. As we have got a couple of drivers coming round now. I'm trying to jump on board with him. Diamond Douchey then beats Liv's time with a 1:35 flat pretty much. Mini comes across the line a second behind Diamond. Diamond Douchey was showing some fantastic pace in this game already. That's a brilliant time from the Alpine driver. And a fantastic benchmark for some of these drivers to beat. As we have got more drivers coming round. We've got Darth Gray who's invalidated his lap. So he'll be going back around again. Then behind him, we've got McLaren and Alfa Romeo that are close together on track as I try and find him. Tiddlewink then goes and beats Diamond Douchey by 0.02 of a second. There's hardly anything between the Alfa Romeo and the Alpine team currently. And Sonetco comes across the line for 1:35.9. We've then got Object Fungus, looks like he invalidated his first lap. He'll definitely want to do that again, but he'll be going back around once again. He's got his teammate Shadows coming behind him. Looks like he's had an issue as well for 1:50 time. Jock goes P3 as a 1:35.2 currently. Time's coming through thick and fast currently. As the drivers are coming around, Dan Hardy's had an issue. Brad Mason goes P4 of 1:35.3. So currently 3 times separating P1 to P4. There's Diamonds. Is he going? Yep, Diamonds coming back around to try and set a better time. No, he isn't. He's going back around again by the looks of it on the push lap, which is interesting. As we've got a Hash driver coming around the final corner by the looks of it. Yeah, we've got Mag User who's coming around the corner. Looks like he's had an issue on his lap as well, so he's only going to build 1:49 in currently. We've got the McLaren and Junior Vane who's just gone P5 with 1:35.5. And we've got Object Fungus who's flying around and coming back around the final corner. Let's see what this Mercedes driver can do, whether he can set an early benchmark. And set to 1:34.6, 4 attempts quicker than P2 currently, and that's going to take some catching, but it is only P1 currently. So fantastic second lap from Object Fungus at this point. As we've got Dan Hardy that's coming through Sector 3 currently. And loses the back end, unfortunately. That's a very easy thing to do with traction on these cars. So it's not going as planned for the McLaren driver currently. As we've got a couple of drivers that are coming out now. We've got Henkers coming through Sector 3, looking to set his going on fast lap. We've got Drobel behind him. So we'll ride on board of Henkers and the Aston Martin. As he'll prepare himself. As he'll be preparing himself for his fastest lap at this point. And he's got his DRS wide open. He'll be getting a little bit of slipstream from the Alpine in front of him, which will be helping him as well. But it could be giving him some dirty air through this tight sector, this fast sector one side. Henker's taking this beautifully at the moment, kissing the curve at turn 1. Now it's all about keeping the pace but not pushing it to the limits too much through sector 1. He's taking this perfectly, carrying a lot of speed through. Runs a little bit of ride there. That'll lose him some time, but he's gone purple sector 1 currently. Now we know with this game it doesn't necessarily mean he's gone the quickest, but we'll wait and see what Henkers can do and continue through his lap as he comes through sector 2 now. Got a picky braking point up at this point. This is a sharp brake point. But Henkers takes that perfectly kissing the apex. He's going to have a long run down now at DRS2. The Alpine's still in front of him, giving that little bit of a slipstream. We'll see how much that does help him out coming through this lap. Picky braking point out to you again. This is a bit of a sharp turn, but taking that perfectly, avoids the sausage curbs on the outside. Purple sector 2 for 1:03.5. So at the moment Henkers is absolutely flying as there's an instant in front of him, which hopefully doesn't pull him off too much. And the Williams driver got the way very nicely there. Hopefully it didn't cost Henkers too much time. As he's coming through the final set of corners now. Just this last corner where he needs to pick his point up, not go too wide, keeps it perfectly within the track limits. One more corner to take, takes it perfectly, foot down to the ground, and goes P2 for 134.8, 2 tenths behind Object Fungus. As we have got Drobel who should be following. Yep, Drobel's invalidated it unfortunately, so he'll be wanting to cool everything back down again and going again. We've got Darth Grey who's starting his lap. He's a Tier 2 driver, Darth Grey is, but failing in for it's like a Division 2 driver, Darth Grey is. But he'll be failing in for a couple of Division 1 drivers this week. So we can see what a Division 2 driver does. See if he's matching the pace of these guys in front of him. As with no surprise, our man at the top, Object Fungus, calls it quits and retires. I think he is safely for that 134.6. So good call from the Mercedes driver there. The Darth Grey is taking it very nicely here. He's got an Aston Martin driver ahead of him that's out the way, which is very nice. Taking the corner. Very nicely there. His DRS wide open, shooting down DRS2 now. And we'll see what Darth Grey can do. Picks his braking point up here. Very nicely done by the Williams driver. 104.1 through sector 2. So he is a little bit down. He's about 5 tenths behind what Henkers was. So he is looking at the moment to mid 135 for a Division 2 driver. That's be a fantastic time if he meets some of these Division 1 drivers. So wait to see what he can do. He comes on the final course now, decides to keep well off the curbs. I don't know if he had a bit of understeer, oversteer there, but it certainly looked like he took it wide. His DRS is fully gone, but set to 135.6, which is fantastic from the Williams driver. As it's very nice to see you here, gentlemen, in the chat. Nice to see you, Lapo, and very nice to see you as well there, Davey Lolface. As you mentioned, it is only a lad currently. Biddle is joining me through towards the end of Q1, so I'm not soloing all the way. And it is worth mentioning as well that once qualifying's finished, there will be a quick swap over on the stream, as Bidley will be taking over the main comms, and I'll be dropping it down to co-comms, so just to give people a heads up on that one. As we've still got a couple of drivers here that are looking to set times. Tiddlewink goes fastest from 134.6. That's fantastic pace from the Alfa Romeo driver there. We'll jump back on board with some of the guys that have still need to set laps. Dan Hardy's come back in the pits again, so the McLaren driver really not enjoying this. But we'll jump on board with Evangelista, who looked like he set a purple sector 1, but once again we know what this game's like. So we'll wait and see. But the AlphaTauri driver currently taking the last corner very nicely, hitting the apex, DRS wide open, shooting down the back straight. We know Evangelista has got a bit of pacing, as Hoonigan now goes top for 134.4. The track beginning to ramp up by the looks of it. But surely Object Fungus won't be too phased by these times, as we know he's got a lot more up his sleeve, I imagine. But at the moment, Evangelista is doing a fantastic job here. Coming through the tight, twisty turns of Sector 3. Coming to this corner where you keep your foot down there, but you still got to keep it in track limits. He's preparing himself for the final 2 corners. Picking his braking points up round about now. Keeps it well within track limits, hits the curb. One more corner to take. Harsh on the brakes, accelerator straight down. And he goes P11, 135.6. So a couple of drivers still at risk here. We've got Dan Hard who's in the pits and coming out now. We've got Drobel who's on his flying lap again. He's had issues throughout his lap currently. Yeah, I think he's intentionally sandbagging there, David. I don't think I think he's genuinely 1 second there, but he's sandbagging a lot. He needs to throw him out, and maybe he's doing what we say he's doing in real life, saying he hasn't got the pace and he'll pull the lap of his life out. But yeah, we can see Drobel on the screen now. coming down to the end of DRS2, taking it very nicely, avoiding sausage curbs on the outside. 103 flat through sector 2, and that's a fantastic time for the Red Bull driver, so he's going to be challenging the top of the leaderboard here as well. It is worth noting he's still in Q1, but this is fascinating to see all these drivers pumping these times in. As he's coming through the back end of sector 3 now, looking like he's got the car planted to the ground like the Red Bull is in real life, and especially like it was last year. Keeping it well within track limits there, which is nice to see. One final corner, DRS wide open, and goes quickest for 134 flat. That's a fantastic time from the Red Bull driver, and as mentioned, he's one of the drivers who can really push Object Fungus here, if he can keep it nice and clean. I'm sure Object Fungus isn't sweating just yet though. As Dan Hardy and Livs, Dan Hardy still hasn't set a time, and our drivers at risk at the moment as Livs, Sniz, Mini, and Sanatko. Three of them drivers currently on out laps, 2 of them currently pushing. As Dan Hardy is going on to his flying lap now. So we'll jump on board of Livs to see what he can do. Hopefully he's looking at improving and pushing up the list just a little bit more. Crosses the line for 134.1, so he jumps to P2, knocks AIM down into the danger zone. He was currently on a flying lap as well. Tiddlewink's retired from the session, which is no surprise at the time he set. So at the moment we've got Sanetko coming through the final set of corners now. Although for his time I think he's slowing down. No, the game was just having me off there. Was showing 8 minutes in the top corner, but he set a 135.9. Still not quick enough to push himself up the list though. So he'll be wanting to go again. He has got the battery to do it, so we'll jump back to see what the other drivers are doing currently. As I think we've got Brad Mason. No, we haven't got Brad Mason, it's Drobel. So we'll jump on board a Mini who's coming around the final set of corners now. He's got his DRS wide open. Doesn't improve. So at the moment, Mini's in a lot of trouble, but he's still got ERS on. He's still got his ERS there. As we have got AIM coming through sector 2, but he's 5 tenths down according to the Delta currently. Coming through the final set of corners. If he doesn't improve it doesn't look like he's going to improve at all. And AIM is accepting his fate and will be going out in Q1, which is a shame for the Ferrari driver. But we'll jump back to see what the other drivers are doing currently. As we've got Sanetko coming through the sector 3 now. The other Ferrari driver hoping to be able to do something here, as it looks like he switched his DRS off currently. He's invalidated his lap, so perhaps he's considering trying to push again on these tyres. Yeah, that's right, he's going back around again, so we'll continue looking around and see what other drivers are doing. Currently he's bottom 4 now, side. Sniz has invalidated his lap and he hasn't got the DRS to go again, so no doubt he's going to be out. We've got a second driver out in Q1 currently. We've got Mini who's flying through sector 3, looking at trying to keep some track limits on these final corners. Does very well there, but it's very twitchy back end on the car there. DRS wide open, puts himself P15 and drops Darth Grey out. Drops Darth Grey into the bottom 5, who's currently on a lap as well, so we can see if Darth Grey can improve any. As he's coming through the final corners now, he's got a McLaren in front of him, who will maybe be disturbing, but we'll wait and see what and he overshoots the corner, and Darth Grey accepts his fate as well and is out in Q1. As Dan Hardy is stopped on track. Yeah, he's done a burnout and accepted his fate as well. We know Sniz is out, he doesn't like, yeah, he's 5 seconds down. And we've got Senetko, who's currently a 10th down through sector 2, so we'll see if he can find any time in this last sector, but it's going to be a big ask at this point. He needs at least 3 attempts to be looking at getting through to Q2. We'll see what the third driver can do. Goes very wide there. Not sure how he doesn't invalidate it. But he's DRS wide open now. And yet finishes 2 tenths down. And that is our bottom 5 for Q1. As some of the other drivers did come up, we've got Jock, who's improving himself into P10. We've got Revengely, who was on the lap but invalidated and jumped straight back into the pits. But what an entertaining Q1 we've had there. Some surprises that are far up in that list currently. As we wait for Sniz to be pulled into his box before progressing through to Q2. As just excuse me for 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on, no, let me just talk about the bottom 5 very quickly before I invite Bidley to the party. So in Q1, we do lose Sniz, Dan Hardy, Sinetco, AIM, and Darth Grey. Very close to the cut-off zone, Mini was, and Revengezilla, but both managed to survive through to Q2. But yes, please do give me a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to get my my co-coms in currently, and invite into the game. Nice to see you in the chat as well there, Shadows. I mean, you might be uncomfortable with the car currently, but you're still through to Q2, so hopefully you can get to grips with it. And I want to say a massive good evening to my co-commentator currently, who will become main comms, as I mentioned, at the end of qualifying. Bidley, how are you?
Hello. I am here. Thanks for standing in there, DJ. As I was late to the party, so I've not actually managed to watch the stream either. But I'm hoping it's been a good Q1 so far, anyway.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic Q1. We've got a few surprises up top where we had Tiddlewink lives, Drobal. I think we had another driver all beating Object Fungus, but Object Fungus only managed to set 1 lap. He was about 6 tenths behind Drobal, so I imagine he wasn't flexing too much, and we'll wait to see if the Mercedes driver can show his true pace in Q2.
Yeah, you would expect Object Fungus to be more towards the front of the pack, like you said. I think driver mentioned there, Tiddlewink. Nice to see him towards the front of the pack. I know he doubted himself on pace, but nice to see him fighting at the front of the field then. And yeah, I'm in the game now. It's nice and dry for the drivers here in Q2, so hopefully we're going to see some competitive racing all round.
Yep, definitely, as we've got Aston Martin in his background again and lives. He was one of the first ones out in Q1 and decides he wants to go back out early again. So perhaps loves the early run and tried to avoid some traffic, as we see him weaving, trying to get some tension to them tyres. Looks like he's locked up a little bit there actually as well.
Yeah, it's obviously all the drivers out there at the moment. It's the first race of the season. So, I mean, I know a few of the guys have put some hours into the time trial, but we are seeing a lot of drivers here as well that we didn't see in pre-season as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how they do. The likes of Hoonigan, I know he's a very quick driver as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how he fares at the moment with 3 drivers in the pit lane. So, choosing to come out a little bit later on. But it is quite a long lap here, isn't it, TJ? So, I think they're going to struggle to get a few runs in if they don't come out very soon.
Yeah, that's right. As we've got Junior Vinny just left the session, if you won't mind dropping him an invite, please, Bidley. But yeah, it is a long lap here, as Lives has a moment on his outlap coming through the final corners. The car just went on him. Not what he wants, just as about he's set going to his fast lap here. Hopefully he hasn't overheated the tyres too much there. But he is now on his lap, as I've... Let me get some data. Apologies. We don't really see tyre data at this point, so everyone's on the soft tyres. Lives is struggling with the car currently as he's going for turn 1 then. Lost the rear end again, and lucky Tom has invalidated it now. So Liv's really struggling to control the car at this point. Perhaps hasn't put enough heat into those tyres. As we'll jump back onto Mag user now, who's taking sector 1 very nicely at the moment.
Yeah, it's easily done, especially on these hour laps as well. This track is it's all sorts of rain falling then. That might just be my eyes there, as I switch between camera angles. But yeah, it's easily done. I mean, the track is a long one, like I said, tyre degradation a bit high as well. I know that affects temperatures, so if the drivers aren't looking after the tyre pressures, they will find that they burn them up a little bit too quickly before they start their final laps.
Yep, definitely. As Mag user comes through sector 2 now and sets a high 1037. I believe we did see Hoonigan setting on Hoonigan and Drobel setting one low 103s. So it's a bit of the pace here, Mag user. Perhaps that's to do with the cloud coverage. It does look like it's going very dark, and perhaps we are potentially going to see a bit of rain, but we'll wait and see. Mag user now coming through the final corners, takes the corners very nicely there, keeps it within track limits, and then validates it coming off the final corner. Frustration for the Haas driver there.
Yeah, it's not unheard of. That final corner, you're a little bit wide. It's very easy to invalidate, and it's easy, in fact, to invalidate on the inside and the outside of that final corner. So I don't think he'll be the first person we see do that for the rest of qualifying.
Yep, definitely. As we saw Diamond go fast as 1:35.7, it was then smashed by Object Fungus at 1:34.6, who only just about manages to match his Q1 time. So maybe Object Fungus is struggling a little bit here. We're waiting to see if he is just holding a little bit back currently. But very strange for a driver to be matching their Q1 time in Q2.
Yeah, it might just take it a little bit easy at the moment, or whether he's put the time in to COTA. It's usually a track that's run towards the end of most driver seasons. We see there Brad Mason going quicker. It's usually a track that's run a little bit more towards the end of league racing seasons. So to see COTA come up a bit early might, of course, some of these drivers by surprise if they haven't had the time to get the practice in, of course.
Yep, definitely. As Hank is coming back around now, done to validate off the final corner this time. It goes 1:34.9. So representing from the Aston Martin driver there, nice to see him up high as well. As we've got a Haas driver in Hoonigan about to come round as well. Let's see what the Haas driver can set here. Ooh, loses the back end off on the curb. Definitely lost some time there. Goes P3 for 1:34.6, but I reckon he lost a tempo, so just sliding off the curb just.
Yeah, definitely lost a few tenths. Perhaps not enough to challenge Brad Mason at the moment, who we know is very quick from that pre-season race we saw at Silverstone. I think it was last time out, actually. We saw him racing. And yeah, it might not enough to challenge that time, but if he gets it together, like I said, I know Hoonigan's a very fast driver. So if he can hook it all up, he might be in with a chance of pole today.
Yep, as we've got to the point in Q2 where we've got some drivers out of sync actually, to be honest. We've got Revenge, Zilla, June Vane and Mini all coming on out laps currently, so got 8 minutes left in the session. These guys are very much out of sync to the rest of the pack that are either set a lap or currently sat in the pits waiting to set a lap. Very strange to see drivers here, but you know, with how dark it is looking, perhaps they are afraid of that little bit of chance of rain maybe. So we're going to go on board with June Vane. About to start his fast lap if he wants to take us round it, Bidley.
Johnny Bain, yeah, why not? Let's have a look at the if I can find him. He's there in the McLaren years. He comes over the start finish line, and usually I have a track map up alongside me, but being here a little bit late, I've not managed to do so. It's a climb up to turn 1, then this is where you'll see lots of incidents at the start of the race. A left-hander here into a swooping and technical sector 1, of course, then. This complex of corners modelled, of course, off Magnus and Beckett's at Silverstone. And you can see there the driver, Johnny Vane, struggling with the latter part of those corners there. He's had a decent first sector time, I believe, there. I have no idea exactly what we're looking for, but it's purple on the map, but we don't know whether how representative that is, of course. But he's avoided invalidation. That's the main task early on in the lap. Now at this straight, of course, it's just about how your setup's tuned. Foot to the floor, DRS at the right moment, of course, trying to get the most in this straight line, and he's topping out then just over 200 mph, so it's not the quickest I think we've seen from drivers down there, but it's definitely not shabby. Avoiding validation on the inside there, and there's this off-camber left-hander coming up very shortly, which I absolutely hate. Absolutely hate when you've got a bit of tyro as well. This one right here, it just tries to throw you wide. He's done well to find the apex there then, and then it's a triple right-hander. This complex to corners as well, very difficult during the race, and he looks like he's managed to keep his foot down, and it has indeed kept it very clean and fast. Doesn't run too much wide there, but there is time to gain if he runs slightly a little bit wider. Avoids doing a hoonigan off the final corner, and as I said, it looked clean, it looked fast, and he's got top of the standings.
Yeah, what a fantastic lap from Junior Vane there. That's miles quicker than his Q1 time and setting a marker down early doors as well. Fantastic to see McLaren drive up there as we'll jump back into Revengezilla, who's currently... He's just dropped it through Sector 3, actually. One of the corners where you mentioned, Bidley, in the race, it can be really hard and technical. Looks like he's just got too much heat in them rears and just lost the back end. He's going to come across the line to set the lap, but I'm not sure where he's going to VRS to really push round again, to be honest.
Yeah, 33%. It is more of a hungry circuit in terms of the ERS. There's a few long straights, obviously, as you can see from the drivers going around at the moment. And I know he's not had a lot of practice tonight, trying to put some times in on the board. And that corner where he went around, that triple right-hander, that really is just about setup. Have you got the rear of the car hooked up to ensure that you don't go around on yourself? And unfortunately, on that occasion, it might have just been a bit of traction or aero, but yeah, he's gone round, and it doesn't look like he's going to get another lap in either.
No, which is a shame for the AlphaTauri driver, but we know his racecraft is very good. No matter what race he does, we'll see what he can do. Mag User is starting his fastest lap now. And as I do believe, yeah, we've got shadows coming through Sector 3 just where Revengezilla dropped it. Keeps it nice and clean through there. Runs a bit wide, if anything. But we'll see what you can do here. Pushes the track limits really wide there. As you mentioned, you can gain some time there. You can keep it in track limits. Goes a bit easy on the final corner. Was a 1:35.3, as I believe Tiddlewink goes P2 for 1:34.1. So Alpha Romeo driver really showing his pace again. Just about matching his Q1 time there. So we'll see if he can get an improvement going into Q3 potentially. Maggie's doing one out on track currently, but it's looking like he's setting a lap. So we'll jump back on board of him currently. One driver that is struggling is Lives, who we saw come out really early, validate his fast lap, and then hasn't been able to pump anything back in. Maggie's set to purple sector 2. So we'll see what he can do here as you mentioned, the camber can throw drivers off, but takes it very nice. Looks like he's got the car planted to the ground, ups this triple right-hander, and loses it in the same place that Revengezilla dropped it. So driver's getting really caught out by the rear, just slipping through this triple right-hander.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether as well it's the track temperature that isn't really helping that situation as well. You can see it's a bit overcast up top, not quite as warm of a track as drivers might have expected, especially during these fast laps during Q2. So whether that's catching them out or not, I don't know. But with 3.5 minutes to go here, and you'd probably say bottom 5 all haven't put a representative time on the board at the moment. They're going to have to try and get in and back out very quickly if they want to get themselves through to Q3.
Yeah, that's right, as Lives once again and validates, this time coming out of a tricky tight left-right just after sector 1. Aston Martin driver really not enjoying this track currently, but he hasn't got time to go back in the pit, so he'd have to recharge the battery now and try and hope them tyres are seen through. So Aston Lives in real trouble here. I think we've got, is it Premi? Yeah, we've got Prem that's coming round in sector 1, currently just starting his flying lap. So we'll jump on board with the Williams driver, see what he can do for sector 1. Oh, actually, no, he won't go any quicker because his DRS levels are low, so unless Prem can really recharge his batteries, I think we might have got our first driver out in Q1, at Q2 here, potentially.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go. He's gone 2.5 soft tyres as well. It's not looking good for the Williams at the moment. Is he still pushing? I think he's still pushing on this lap.
I think he's still pushing, but that the ERS levels definitely won't hold, surely. I think he's turned his ERS off now, actually.
Yeah, it's taken him a while there. I don't think he'll get it back. Come out and do another lap. That's the problem now. I think with 1 minute 50 on the clock, I can't see him improving on that time enough to a point which he gets into the top 10, especially as the likes of Henker's Jock, Shadows and Diamond are all out again for another lap. So I think you're right there, TJ. I think Premier there, I think he's going to be the first driver out. It's a bold prediction, but he's coming up to the line now. He's only got 20% ERS. I can't see him improving on that time.
No, I can't see him, especially the tyre life as he loses the back end coming off the final corner, compromising his start to his lap, and yeah, he's only down to 8% on his ERS. So I'd be very surprised to see Prem to improve as we'll jump back now through the grid. Mag user is looking to start his fastest lap with a minute to go, so we'll keep an eye on him to see what he can do. We have got Mini that's coming through the final sector now. Keeps it nice and clean while Revenge Zilla and Mag user both dropped it. Pushes the track limits out very nicely there. Keeps it nice and clean still. Off the final corner, loses the back end. And I think we just got a second driver out in Q2, and that's Mini, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lives is following over the line.
Just
going to say, yeah. Lives over the line 34.3 from him. Wasn't put off by the Alfa Romeo going round and off that final corner. Does get a time on the board of a 1 minute 50. Can't see him improving on that from a standing start off the start finish line. But a good lap from Lives there. 2 lap old softs from him. 34.3 under pressure as well with the final run in Q2, and that'll see him through, of course, to the final part of qualifying.
Yeah, and probably our biggest shock in Q2 here is that Mag user will not be progressing as his invalidated coming from sector 1.
Yeah, that's a big shock. Everyone knows Mag user's got a bit of pace behind him, and yeah, in obviously the start of his TCL campaign, he would not have wanted that, but he is strong in the race, so hopefully he can climb back through the field and get some points for Haas today.
Yep, definitely, as it's Revenge and Diamond that can really do anything, just jump on board down. He's invalidated his lap, so we won't be going any quicker, so he's out currently. So it's Revenge Zilla, and what can he do to try and progress through to Q2 here? He's got the mindset now, goes a bit wide there to perhaps try and avoid the camper to throw him off, but this is the point where he dropped the car previously. Keeps it very nice currently. The car's very much planted through there, so he's keeping it very nice as well. Coming through his final set of corners, pushes the track limits, hits the curb. This looks very clean, and hopefully it's enough to gain through to Q3. DRS wide open, puts himself P4 and pushes Shadows down out of Q2.
Yeah, so that's the bottom 5 completed then. That lap from Avenger was very impressive. Very impressive. As I said, he didn't have a lot of practice before the race, before this qualifying session. You know, under pressure as well with that final run. Sticks himself where it was P4, it's now P5. But great lap from him there, though. But Henker's, or as it Lives, I think, actually, has just spoiled his parade slightly as the 2 Aston Martins in 3rd and 4th. Looking like a strong lineup there.
Yes, definitely. As one thing I do note that from all the top 10 are all separated by 7 tenths, which, you know, considering that you've probably got Hoonigan Object Fungus that can go quicker, Drobel can definitely go quick, as we saw him do a low 134. It's looking like it could be a very competitive Q3 here, and I don't think we've got a clear favourite for pole currently either.
No, and you know that's what we like to see. It means we've got a competitive Division 1 on our hands. You know, from P1 to P6, Brad Mason, 4 tenths, under 4 tenths actually, separates those drivers. So it really is anyone's game for the taking in Q3. But I'm really shocked to see Tiddle with that far up the grid. I'm really happy for him with how high up he is in qualifying, and don't discount him from a front row start in Q3.
Yep, definitely. As our bottom 5 in Q2 is Magus is probably the biggest shock out of everyone to drop out there. We've got Mini P14, Prem in P13, Diamond Dushi P12, and Shadows who got knocked out by Revengezilla in P11.
Yeah, the 5 there with the times a bit cut adrift from the rest of the field. 7 tenths separating first to 10th, and then it's 1.3 back to Shadows. I don't think they got their quickest time on the board, to be honest with you. I think there was more to come from, well, at least Maguda and Mini as well, but Premier Diamond as well, we know is much faster than that. On his day, he's not a second off a Q3 appearance, so I don't think he got the best time in that he would have wanted to as well. So don't discount those guys for some points in the race.
Yep, definitely. As we're back in Q3, we're still a gloomy circuit. As we do wait for the session to start, waiting for people to load in. As we mentioned, there's no clear favourite poll currently. Every driver's really pumping laps in, and it could go to anyone currently. But if any of our viewers have been watching, if you want to try and predict the pole sitter or maybe the top 3, please be our guest and put your predictions in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on see what you all saying. As I just want a quick check at the settings, as I've been told something could be disabled. I'm just trying to think what setting it's under. Yeah, part firmware. Yeah, okay. I was told part firmware wasn't on, but I just checked and it is on. So I'm not quite sure why. Someone doesn't think part firmware isn't on, but it definitely is. As we've got Tiddlewink out, who's our early driver going out here. As you mentioned, he's been showing some fantastic pace. He's put himself in the top 2 in Q1 and Q2. You'd expect to see him with the pace he's showing to be occupying one of them front 2 spots, surely.
Yeah, I think we're disappointed now if he doesn't get onto the front row, especially after the performance he's done in Q1 and Q2. Obviously, this is what it all comes down to. The times in Q2 and Q1 don't matter anymore. It's all about how much you can keep your nerve in this final part of qualifying. And Tiddlewink will definitely have to keep his nerve. Like I said earlier on, he doubted his pace in this division, but he's been right up there. I think he'll be happy with anywhere on the front 2 rows, but surely after those performances, we'll be trying to aim for a front row start then.
Yep, definitely. As we have got our first prediction in the Twitch chat from Minnie, who predicts Object Fungus will take pole, Tiddlewink in P2 and Junior Vane P3.
Not a bad shout. Johnny Vane has had pace. I would like Johnny Vane though. I think and expect Johnny Vane to get onto the front row. In the only drive, I think, into the 33s in qualifying so far, but as I mentioned, it's all about how much bottle he's got in these final runs in Q3.
Yep, definitely. As we see Tiddlewink starting his flying lap, goes up the embankment into turn 1, takes it very nicely. Now it's all about this technical sector 1 where you've got to carry the pace through the corners, but they're so fast and sweeping, you can't really push hard too much. Because the Tiddlewink lift off coming through the back end of the SEs. Very clean sector 1 there, and a very representable sector 1 time for 25.8. Alpha Male, as he has a moment coming up in that little embankment where the camber does change and he throws the car off, so a bit of an issue there for Tiddlewink, but he is still going to push here by the looks of it. As, yeah, he's still pushing Tiddlewink, so confident he can perhaps just want to get a time on the board just in case he can't do another run. So we're still right on board to see what he can do. He's got DRS wide open, pushing speeds of just about 200 miles per hour, so not the quickest again we've seen, but still quick going down that back at DRS zone 2. A 104, 1 through sector 2, and yeah, that's slow sector 2, that's compared to some of the times we've seen, and that'll be down to the issue we had at the top end of sector 2. Hits the cambered corner very nice, and now it's a triple right-hander. See if he can keep it nice and clean through here as well. Looks like it's very nice, keeps the car very nice planted. Pushing the track limits as we've seen many drivers do, but then decides to jump straight in the pits.
Yeah, you probably would have known from the deltas through the sectors that it wasn't a lap worth completing, as Liv then puts the first benchmark down for the driver. The times will come thick and fast now.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The sandbags have been lifted out at Mercedes, and Object Fungus has blown the times out the water with a 1:33.2.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people were waiting for. Great time from him, yeah, and clearly was teasing us all through Q1 and Q2 33.2. I pretty much, if I was a betting man, which I am, would bet a lot on Object Fungus not being beaten in this qualifying session, and a fantastic time from the Mercedes. But Drobel goes P2 there with a 33.8, not a bad time from him.
Yeah, that's fantastic from the Red Bull driver, that is. He did show the pace in Q1, but backed off in Q2, but yeah, not as much as what we've seen Object Fungus do. He was pretty much gone 1.2 seconds quicker in the times he set in Q1 and 2. So yeah, no surprise seeing top at the top. There's Hoonigan and an issue on his first flying lap, and he's now coming through sector 1. The Red Bull driver in front of him gets out of the way very nicely. I didn't see his sector 1 delta there, unfortunately, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do for sector 2, but looks like his car's a little bit twitchy, perhaps not planted to the ground he wants it to. But then there's this clown cover causing a few issues for drivers, as Bedley's already mentioned. Hoonigan now trying to get a toe off. I think it's Drobel ahead of him down the second DRS straight. Comes out of the slipstream, the Red Bull driver, picks his braking point out very nicely there. Doesn't go as wide in the exit we've seen some drivers do, but sector 1:03.4 through sector 2. Still not the quickest we've seen through sector 2, so still probably got some time here. Probably it's definitely going to be challenging the likes of Object Fungus and Drobel, but you'd imagine he's going to be challenging perhaps Junior Vane and Henkers here, and Brad Mason. And unfortunately, the triple right-hander catches another driver out, and Hoonigan spins it.
That's great car control. Straight 360, back on the road. He should have finished the lap. He would have put him into the win. Great car control from Hoonigan there. Yeah, I think through sector 1, I know that Red Bull got out of his way, but just the fact the car was there, he didn't quite hit the apex on that corner. I think it did unsettle him slightly. You know, it's okay if he's well out of the way, but you're always anticipating him not perhaps hitting you on the lap. And he might have been slightly more cautious than he would have wanted to be through that corner. But it looked like a decent lap up to that point. Not enough for the front row, but you know, it would have put him in the mix for a top right start, I think, if he didn't have that spin, of course.
Yeah, definitely. As Tiddlewink is the outer sync tech driver here, coming out early as we saw him invalidate on his first run. Coming through sector 1, sector 25.6, so he's roughly there, matching some of these front runners. Taking it very nicely here as well. Coming through to the second DRS zone, kisses the entry in the apex very nicely there. And he's going up his DRS and he'll just foot to the floor, trying to pick as much speed up as he can through this back straight, pushing speeds of about 200 miles per hour. Hits the curb, avoids the sausage curbs on the exit. A 1:03.1 through sector 2, so this is looking like a very nice lap for the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, he's on.
Assuming
he's on for about between 4th and 5th as it stands, depending on this final sector. That time is pretty much what he set in Q2. He goes straight across the right-hander. The pressure, as I said, it doesn't matter what you do in Q1, Q2. It all matters what you do now. And Tiddlewink then continues on as well with not a lot of battery in an Alfa Romeo, but we'll look then to do a second final lap if you can get away with it.
That surprised me. I personally would have dived in the pits to put another set of tyres on, get a full battery and just jump straight back out. Tiddlewink's obviously confident that he can do it, as it looks like he isn't really pushing. Tiddlewink's backed off his lap already, so he's recharging his battery, and I think the Alfa Romeo driver's made a mistake here personally.
Yeah, I don't think he won't get in and get round again. So whether he's got enough fuel to nurture those tyres and get them round again is another question. But that'll be 2 or 3 laps old by the time he's doing that. And, you know, it's just The pressure has just clearly got to him. Like I said, that lap he was on previously would have been enough probably for P4, P5 until he invalidated it. So, yeah, well, it will do well to get into a similar position now, having 3-lap old soft tyres on the Alfa Romeo.
Yep, definitely, as we've got 2 drivers out currently who were revenged on the AlphaTauri, the Hoonigan and the Haas. Hoonigan obviously did that fantastic 360 that with COTA on stream. He'll be looking to not do that on his next one, as he'll probably only get one more chance to do anything here. As Revenge Zealand now comes on to his fastest lap. If you want to take us back and round on this one, Biddle.
Yeah, Revenge we saw do that fantastic time then in Q2. Can he follow it up with a decent lap here? Of course, down turn 1, the climb up, the climb back down the hill there, and now it's into that tricky sector 1, as we've spoken about so many times tonight. Does well to clip the first couple of curbs. A little bit sensitive on the throttle. I think the pressure on, of course, being so far down the time at the moment. And he's, what's he said for the first sector? It didn't pop up on my screen, but thanks for that.
No, it didn't pop up on mine either.
Anyways, he comes down then to turn 11, kisses that orange curve on the inside. You never want to get that in the middle of your car. And as I said, it's all about setup here. Down the straight, DRS open. He's not quite climbing to the speeds that we've seen from a few drivers today, so perhaps that will favour his setup in the first sector. Cuts the corner beautifully there, gains some time and avoids the invalidation, but it's not currently quick enough to get ahead of Lives in P7, and so it'll all be about this tricky final sector. Does well with the off-camber left-hander there of turn 15. Coming around the triple right-hander, avoiding doing a hoonigan, and then pulls to the left-hand side. Takes a bit more of the track on the outside there. Good work there, good turning in, and gets the apex off the final corner. Runs slightly wide to try and get as much traction as possible, but it is just a 1:34.7, and as I said, wasn't going to be enough to beat Lives unless he had a major final sector, and he clearly has been unable to improve.
Yeah, that's a shame from the AlphaTauri driver, that is, but still pretty respectable to be setting that time. As Tiddlewink dives into the pits, and that is it for the Alfa Romeo driver. So what a disappointing Q3 he's had, considering the times he's been showing. The pressure just got a bit too much for the Alfa Romeo driver, obviously.
Yeah, he'll be very disappointed with that. As we spoke about numerous times, he had to pace to put himself amongst the top 4, but couldn't quite get the times on the board then. And that opens the door for somebody else then, someone like Brad Mason, to try and get himself on the front row now.
Yeah, definitely, as I'm trying to figure out who's our first driver that's coming round. As I've just seen a McLaren facing the wrong way of Junior Vane, so he isn't going to be improving. I do think it's one of the Aston Martin drivers that we're going to see first. Yeah, but it's going to be Lives, who's at the end of DRS Zone 2, and we'll see what his Sector 2 time is, whether he's improving any. He's currently 4 attempts up through Sector 2, so he's pushing to try and get himself onto the front row here. So Vernon brought the Aston Martin driver now, coming through this very tricky off-camber corner. Takes it very nicely, Carl planted through the triple right-hander now, and we'll see if the Aston Martin driver can keep it planted. Doesn't do a Hoonigan. We'll try and push the track limits here. Doesn't go as wide, so perhaps losing some time there. We've seen some drivers gain time, but takes the final corner very nicely. His DRS wide open. Provisionally P2. Well, a fantastic lap from Lives, that is.
Yeah, the final sector was very impressive there from the Aston Martin. Made a lot of time between sectors 2 and 3. Then Henkers has invalidated and won't improve on his time. So it's all about Brad Mason, who's going to be the next car over the line. Can he put that Red Bull amongst the front row? Not quite.
No, as Object Fungus flexes his muscles a bit more and does a 133 flat as the other Red Bull driver comes across the line. Doesn't improve and keeps himself P3. So it's all, and I believe that is it. We've got our starting order for the race.
Yeah, Hoonigan just pipped Revengilla to P8 despite dropping it off the final corner somehow. And the rear's just lit up on exit for him, but he crossed the line just in the nick of time. There's still that P8 from the AlphaTauri then. So, yeah, Johnny Vane will be slightly disappointed, I think. Didn't manage to match his 33 that he found in Q2 though. What a competitive session, really. You take Object Fungus out of that lineup on the left-hand side, and from P2 to P6 then, separated by just under 3 tenths, I should say. So, yeah, great competitiveness here in Division 1 Q3.
Yep, as we have got Ted Lincoln P10, Revenge of the P9, Hoonigan P8, Jotham P7, Anchors in P6, Jimmy Vane P5, Brad Mason P4, Drobel in P3, Lives in P2, and I don't think it was a doubt in anyone's mind, Object Fungus is our pole sitter for today.
Yeah, no surprises there.
As I did mention at the beginning of the stream, there's going to be a short break here while we just swap the streams over, and Ridley takes main comms and I drop to co-comms, and so we will speak to you all very shortly, and yeah, I hope to see you back.